So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. McIntyre. Unfortunately, not Michael McIntyre would be good, but we've got Richard McIntyre, which is absolutely the next best thing. So,
I actually, I do actually get asked all the time if I'm related to Michael McIntyre, and the answer is yes, I am. No, not really. Brilliant. So I'm chief engineer here, as Ralph introduced me, so thanks for that kind introduction. I normally talk a lot about tech, but because it's a bit of a retail focus tonight, I want to talk about something else that I'm super passionate about. Anyone can guess where this is, also based off of Ralph's introduction, so it doesn't take a genius to know that I'm talking about Japan. And I'm just going to specifically talk about convenience stores. So has anyone here been to Japan and been into a Japanese convenience store? I know one young lady has, because she's my daughter and she was brought up over there, but Sean, okay, and a few others. There's something special about them, isn't there? You go to Japan, and I go into a convenience store and I pick up a rice ball out of the very neatly rowed up rows of food, and I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm home. So there's a feeling about it that's really, really nice. It feels so good. So why is this feeling of niceness so important when looking at retail? So there's actually a really popular book that's on the market right now. I'm reading it. I'm about a fifth of the way through. It's super good. It's a really good book. And so if you want a good, light, but interesting read, I recommend this book. And here's an excerpt from the book that I thought I'd like to read to you. A convenience store is a world of sound. From the tinkle of the door chime to the voices of TV celebrities advertising new products over the in-store cable network, to the calls of the store workers, the beeps of the barcode scanner, the rustle of customers picking up items and placing them in baskets, and the clacking of heels walking around the store. It all blends into the convenience store sound that ceaselessly caresses my eardrums. I wouldn't quite go that far personally, but you get the idea, don't you? There's a bit of a feeling that gets attached to these places that often you can relate to. So what are some of the other amazing things about Japanese convenience stores? The weather in Japan is very hot in the summer. I had all my friends complaining that it's like 40 degrees or something in this summer, and it's very cold in the winter. So it'd be always like 0 or -0. And you go in the winter and you see this and you smell it and you're like, that smells so good. And some of the other amazing things about the size and the packaging and where everything is, it's so neat. You know exactly what you're looking for. You know exactly what it is. It's very clearly marked, and it's always very precise. And land in Japan, particularly in Tokyo, is not so available. So you get these tiny little convenience stores that seem to have absolutely everything all the larger ones have. And so they use this kind of way of putting products where people know they will be. They will put them in a way that you can see them very clearly. If you notice, all of these are like right at the front. Yeah. So what's really interesting is when you go into Aldi. I really like those Aldi crisps, like the cheese and onion ones. The cheddar cheese and onion crisps in Aldi are so good. But they put them together. I can't remember whether it was with the salt and vinegar ones or with the ready salted ones. But you always go in there and you're like, I want the cheese and onion crisps. And then before you know it, it's all ready salted ones. And you like have to go to the back to get the ones that you really want. Never have that problem in Japan. So I love it. I absolutely love convenience stores, and they are absolutely a Japanese phenomenon. And what's also interesting in Japan is that people are like super honest. And this is if you buy tobacco or alcohol, you actually need to be 20 in Japan. But rather than sort of say awkwardly, I need to see your ID, they'd be like, can you just press this little button and tell me you're 20? Sure, I can't see that working in the UK. But in Japan, this is the way that they do things. So they do things slightly different. And it's always good to think about the way that different things are being done in different cultures, because it helps us to think differently about our own processes that we're creating, in this case for retail, for people that are coming into our shops, people who are using our web experiences. And unfortunately, we've got a bit of a bad rep for not keeping to some of the Japanese rules, as all of the Japanese people. So in this shop, it says, we are very troubled by many violations of manners by foreigners. These are bad manners. Place the item in your hand in a different location. That's bad. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad rule breaking there. Or in a different orientation. No, just don't do that. Don't do that. You will get some very angry managers coming to put things right. Opening packages before purchasing the goods. Well, that makes sense a little bit, but most of the time we get away with that fine in the UK. Bringing food and beverages in the store, throwing garbage inside the store or hallways. So, they're very clean, very neat, very meticulous people. So where am I going with this? Really, I want us to think about how we can learn from Japanese convenience stores in the technical products and experiences we're building for our customers. So point one is the experience is important. That feeling when you click a button. We all buy Apple products. Most of us do, some of us do. We like paying overpriced for overpriced goods because we like that feeling. It's the click of that button, it's unwrapping of the cellophane. I don't know, Sonos also do this really well. You go open a Sonos speaker and it's like, oh, that's a nice product. So the experience is important, and we shouldn't forget that. We should be thinking about that when we're building things. It shouldn't just meet requirements, it should feel good while you're using it. Make great use of the space we have. Not putting everything right in front of the customer in some random order that they can't make any sense of. It needs to have good sense for them, and that's why user-centered design is something that we often focus on here, to make sure that we're using the space that we have really well for anybody that's using our services. Put things where people will expect them. Don't make the user think too hard. This will be a big marker as to whether you're getting the conversion rates you're wanting to get or not. I think Amazon did a study that for every 100 milliseconds that gets added to the web page loading is equivalent to several percent decrease in conversion rates. So it's not just the time of the page load, it's also are things where people expect them to be. Attention to detail and presentation are super important. Japanese people really love details. They love how much something costs. So 1 yen is like less than 1p. And so for every single yen, they will want to try and get the best value they can. And then another thing that Japan does really well is caring for those who are less mobile, They're really good at caring for the older generation. And so us making sure that we're thinking about everyone when we're creating these experiences is super important. And then the last one is to give customers no surprises. One of the things I loved about living in Japan is that I was rarely surprised. We shouldn't be surprised by trains not turning up on time or flights not arriving when they should, but yeah, it's a shock, isn't it? Always, oh no, what next? We're almost getting ourselves ready for the next surprise, but there's very few of those in Japan. And we should be really careful with that with our web experiences too, making sure that our services are always available, and when they're not, making it very clear why. So I'm going to leave you with a little taster of this Japanese convenience store feeling before I hand over to Mark.
セブンイレブンはここまで進めています。衛生管理、温度管理の徹底により保存料を使用しない取り組み、そして体を思う美味しさ。さらにこの度糖質、食物繊維、食塩相
That's the detail I'm talking about there.
もっと健康な美味しさ。栄養成分表示はそんな決意の表れです。近くて便利、セブンイレブンです。
And that's it. Thank you very much.